You deserved everything you got. This is a Union City.
That is a Philadelphia tradition.
Seize the means of podcasting.
Oh God, the boss has crushed us.
Let me tell you one thing else.
In oldie-timey times,
Who said it? Kanye West or Thomas
we
Paine?
will not raw dog reality for that one.
The pleasure of the flesh is in solidarity.
The Scab Buster.
It's gonna be wholly unprofessional.
Eight together strong. Let that be your mantra.
There are two people in this podcast. One of them has a master's in history, and the other plays the banjo and went to community college for a little while. And so we're like, we'll give the guy with a degree the research job. And the other guy can play the banjo and make a few off-color jokes. Well, Gabe,
Today we're going to learn about...
baseball's first ever players' strike.
I like it.
You like it? Or as I like to
Were
call
they
it,
out?
strike one.
Oh,
Gabe, don't mess up my timing, buddy.
Okay.
This is going to be a very, very short episode if you keep doing that.
okay.
Okay, we'll get right into it, right? That's what you do.
Yep.
We get right
Yep.
into it. We talk
Yep.
about stuff. So most official sources actually consider the 1972 player strike to be the first one in Major League history. But it was only the first league-wide strike, as in
Okay.
everybody going on strike.
Yeah.
You see, the title of the first strikers belongs to members of the 1912 Detroit Tigers. And it all happened on one day in Philadelphia.
Sounds about right.
Okay, so before, you know Babe Ruth, right?
Yeah.
Before Babe Ruth was considered the greatest, there was a man by the name of Ty Cobb.
I know that.
You know Ty Cobb? And he was as great as a shit stirrer as he was a baseball player.
Okay.
Tyrus Raymond Cobb was born in his family's 13-room rural Georgia home on his Confederate captain grandfather's estate.
Sounds about
That's
right.
the most academic sentence in this whole thing, so
Good.
It's all downhill from here. Or uphill. In 1886, he was born. It was shown from an early age that Cobb had a short temper. One story was that he beat up a classmate who caused their team to lose a spelling bee against fifth-grade girls.
I mean, that's fair.
His
Okay.
father, William Herschel, had long suspected his wife, Amanda, of infidelity. And on the night of August 8th, 1905, William Herschel was sneaking up to his bedroom to catch his wife in the act when she fired 2 bullets into him,
Oh my God.
killing him instantly. The facts of the situation are a bit murky, but she alleges that she thought he was an intruder. And just 3 weeks later, after that incident, Ty played his first game in the major leagues as a center fielder for the Detroit Tigers. On May 15th, 1912, the Tigers were playing the Yankees, who were known also as the Americans or the Highlanders officially. And they were playing in New York's Hilltop Park when a fan started heckling Cobb. For the first couple of innings, the two were hurling insults at each other, and Cobb even went as far to ask the club owner and the police to eject the fan, but it was to no avail. They wouldn't do it. And so the heckler kept heckling.
I mean, it's fair.
It all came to a head when the fan called Cobb a poopy head.
Okay.
He called him a half.
Okay.
I'm pulling that bandit off real quick.
There you go.
To clarify, Cobb, a white man, okay.
Yeah.
But while he may not have been the raging racist that he was written out to be years later,
Yeah.
he might have taken offense to the fact that he was called half black.
Yeah.
He was also like a bit of a shit stirrer. So that
Yeah.
is at the point that point that Cobb then entered the stands and proceeded to beat the ever-living shit out of the fan.
In that specific context, I don't think is a great reason, but on the other hand, there are many reasons to beat up baseball fans.
Hey, Gabe.
Yeah. Does it get worse?
Gabe, on point with what you just said, bud.
Okay.
It was at that time nearby fans started yelling out, "He has no hands."
What?
On the other hand, the man had lost one whole hand
Oh, God.
in an industrial accident. And on the other hand, he lost 3 fingers. This was a man with 2 fingers getting the shit beat out of him by the greatest baseball player at the time.
Yeah, that's not a great look.
So the fan yelled that out, and then Cobb then reportedly yelled back, "I don't care if he's got no feet."
My God. Is Cobb supposed to be the hero of this story? I'm so confused.
Are there any heroes in your stories, Gabe?
Yes, the German families that got drunk in protest of not getting paid. That is heroic.
Well, it ain't all sunshine for Mr. Cobb, because unfortunately, at that exact game in the stands was sitting the American League president, Ban Johnson. He immediately suspended Cobb indefinitely.
I mean, beating the shit out of a fan that only had 2 fingers. Oh, God.
So Cobb got banned, Johnson. 2 days later, immediately after playing a Cobbless game in Philly, the Detroit Tigers voted to strike to stop playing unless Cobb was reinstated. So Ban Johnson then threatened the team with fines of $5,000 per game that they forfeited, which is about $150,000 in 2022. Yeah. And that is actually the year's salary of any one of these players. So what happened next resulted in the fielding of probably the most unlikely group of players to ever play Major League Baseball.
Oh, God.
So Tigers manager, a guy named Huey Jennings, recruited the help of Joe Nolan, who was a sports writer for the Philadelphia Bulletin.
Okay.
And they both ventured out into a North Philly neighborhood seeking to replace the striking players.
Oh, Jesus.
The cast of characters that they put together included, are you ready for this? Mm-hmm. Included a few semi-pros and local players, a pair of amateur boxers, 2 Detroit assistant coaches, retired players, okay? Manager Huey Jennings himself, and Alan Travers. Now, Alan Travers is a violinist and a student from St. Joe's University who was unable to make his own school's varsity baseball team. So he actually was doing the scheduling for their school team on their he didn't play. The next day on May 18th, the actual Detroit Tigers, including Ty Cobb, took to the field of Shibe Park to face off against the Philadelphia Athletics when one of the umpires ordered Cobb back to the dugout. Cobb did walk back off the field, but so did the rest of the Tigers. And they continued walking all the way back to the clubhouse, where they then took off the uniforms and left the ballpark. It was at that it was at that moment when the North Philadelphia Scabs, as I like to call them, who were sitting in the stands, went and donned the Strikers' uniforms, signed one-day contracts, and officially became Major League Baseball players.
How is there not a movie of this?
I looked at I couldn't believe it either.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to go, for all those non-baseball fans, I'm not going to go through the play-by-play because that's not what this podcast is about. Yeah. But I will say that the replacement Tigers got beat as badly as a 2-fingered heckler.
Jesus Christ. Oh, God.
It also didn't help that the A's manager, Connie Mack, he held back no punches, and he fielded what were called the $100,000 infield. Connie Mack saw these like ragtag players come in, and he's like, "Fuck them." He's like,
"Yes,
I will destroy these people." Alan Travers, the local Philly boy who was not a pitcher, volunteered to pitch for the Tigers when he heard that he'd be paid $50 as opposed to the $25 the other recruits were getting.
That's fair.
Yeah. So,
and he was, I mean, a broke college student, so it's fair.
Violin strings cost a lot of money back then.
Oh, yeah.
They cost a lot of money now.
They do. Freaking expensive.
And it was on that day that he set a major league record for the most runs allowed in a 9-inning game. The Detroit Tigers lost to the Philadelphia Athletics 24-2.
Yeah, that's not great.
No. It was so bad. The game was so bad that the league threatened the striking players with lifetime bans. They're like, this is never happening again. If you guys don't play, you're never coming back.
Jesus.
So, after the game, Ty Cobb himself convinced his players, his teammates, to return to the field, and the strike ended. So I thought it'd be fitting to end this episode about a group of mostly sandlot misfits in a similar way to how the classic 1993 coming-of-age sports comedy film, The Sandlot, ended. This is a Sam episode.
Oh,
With a
God.
"Where are they now?" segment.
Jesus. Well, presumably they're all dead because this was 1912.
Oh, you spoiled it. Third baseman Ed Irwin was the only Tiger scab credited with a hit in the entire game. And Ed Irwin died in 1916 when a shard of glass cut his jugular vein as he was being thrown through a saloon window in Philadelphia.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Good stuff. Moving on. Local boxer. Hold on. Talking too much. I never talked too much in an episode, Gabe. Local boxer Bill Linehauser took the place of Ty Cobb in center field. He went on to serve in France during World War I and then as a Philadelphia police officer for 41 years in the narcotics department. Now, apparently, when his wife found out that he replaced Cobb, she hit him in the head with a skillet. I mean, any married man is like, yeah, same.
I mean, also fitting that he went from being a scab to a cop. So, okay.
All right, Gabe. So next up, Bill Mayharg, who was the other local amateur boxer, played only 2 innings at third base during the game. And he was the only strikebreaker to go on to play another game in the major leagues when he, as an assistant trainer and a driver for the Philadelphia Phillies, was put in as a pinch hitter for a single at-bat during the 1916 season. But he is best known for his involvement in the infamous 1919 Chicago Black Sox scandal, when he conspired to fix the 1919 World Series with such figures as crime boss Arnold Rothstein. Gabe?
He's a good Philly boy.
Yeah. Dan McGarvey played left field. Jack Smith played third. These are people I could not find any information for, but these are all Philly boys, most.
Yeah.
Jack Smith played third base. Hap Ward played outfield. Arthur Baer was a backup bench player and didn't appear in the game, though. He would
Sir, not appearing in this film.
He would go on to become a journalist and humorist, and he would go on to give Babe Ruth the nickname the Sultan of SWAT. Yeah, how about that? So,
Okay.
And next up, Jim McGarr played second base and was the last strike breaker to die, and he did so coincidentally during the 1981 player strike.
Huh.
Tigers assistant coach Deacon McGuire. He was credited with being the first catcher to quote-unquote pat a glove, meaning he stuffed his glove with raw steak to absorb the shock of the ball. Because, Gabe...
There's got to be better things you could have done there.
At one point during the game, Tigers manager Huey Jennings called himself up to pinch hit. When the umpire asked him who he was batting for, Jennings answered, "None of your business." The umpire then wrote on his lineup sheet...
Empire or umpire?
What did I say?
Empire.
That's what I meant to say.
Okay.
Then he wrote...
Do, 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 do.
Unlimited power. The umpire wrote on his lineup sheet, Jennings, batted for exercise. Good line.
That's awesome.
Give umpires shit, but man, they're pretty. They're quick
Yeah.
on the draw. That brings us to Alan Travers. Alan Travers, as I said, was acting as assistant manager for St. Joe's baseball team when Jennings asked him to help recruit players for the Tigers. Travers then went to the corner of 23rd and Columbia, where a quote, a bunch of fellows were standing around the corner, unquote. Those fellows became Major League Baseball players for a day, Gabe. Travers later joined the Jesuits and was ordained a Catholic priest in 1926. To this day, Ty Cobb is still considered one of the greatest baseball players of all time, and Philly boy Alan Travers is still the only Catholic priest to ever play Major League Baseball. Since then, there has been 9 more work stoppages in baseball.
Okay.
The only other time that strike breakers, or as I like to call them, ball breakers, were used was the 1994-1995 player strike, which I think is probably had the most the strike that had the most effect in all the history of baseball.
Yeah.
Most ramifications, And the last work stoppage for nearly 30 years was until the 2021-2022 lockout, which ended about a month ago.
Oh, yeah.
And the thing is that now they use lockouts. I don't think we've ever had a lockout episode, but a lockout where a strike is where the workers would leave work. A lockout is where like the manager would literally lock out the workers from working. So local Philly boys were the very first baseball strikebreakers. So we can hang our hat on that, I guess.
I don't know if we want to, but
So yeah,
cool. Well,
play us out, Gabe. Take me out to the bar.